Let's make a 5-point perspective room. And in our room, later on, we're gonna have a television against the wall. We're gonna have a window. Outside of the window, you'll be able to see a tree, and you'll also be able to have some potted plants on a shelf, a sofa, a little table with maybe a coffee cup on there and a picture frame on the wall, and a door. Just a few things like that, maybe a light hanging down. And so we're gonna get to that in just a minute. But first, before we draw a room like this in 5-point perspective, we first have to make a 5-point perspective curvilinear grid. So to do that, you're gonna start off with a circle. In this example, I've already done it for you. And we're gonna draw curving lines from the south to the north and also from the east to the west. So we're gonna do that right now. There's a vanishing point in the center that makes it 5 points. So for the fisheye lens, we want to draw these curving lines, but draw them lightly because later we're going to erase the lines to make it where it doesn't look like you have a grid over the top of the image. Now if you're practicing, we probably don't have to erase the grid lines, but definitely if this was a drawing that you were doing for a project, or maybe you just wanted it to really look like a realistic 5-point perspective, you would want to erase these lines. So we'll kind of keep them light, and what we're going to do is just continue to draw from the south all the way to the north and make those lines curving. Now the lines get closer together as it gets further out. That's in perspective, the further away things are, the closer they look. The lines look closer together, okay? So here we go. And this one doesn't take too long because half of it is already done. But we want to take our time here and making sure that you start at one of the points and you aim towards that center line just like this. So you can either work backwards this way, or you can just start at the south, which I recommend. That way it starts exactly at that vanishing point here, and then we're just gonna go all the way around. Try not to draw these lines too dark. I'm drawing it a little bit darker for the demonstration, but again, you don't want to have it too distracting when we start drawing the other room there. And so we're just going to go like this, making sure. Now, why do we have these lines? Again, we have the lines because it's going to help us to know that when the vertical lines are bending to the north and the south, you can trace these grid lines and it will help you, because anytime we have a vertical line, maybe it's the side of the couch that's going vertical, straight up and down, that is going to have to bend slightly. Now, when you get better and you've practiced this a lot, then you'll be able to draw it without putting the grid lines in. And that's later. But I feel like it's very helpful to have it, especially when you're learning at the beginning. Okay, so now that we have that, all we have to do is now finish it by going horizontal. So I'm going to start here in the west and go all the way here to the east. Now you can see it was going this direction, and it continues like that. If it's helpful, you can start it here where the line is already traced, already drawn, and just go this way. Make sure it really does end at the vanishing point here. It's very important. You don't want it to end here because that wouldn't have enough curve. So you want it to angle down like this. And we have one up here. Like that. We're almost done. And we just have to start here at the west. I've already drawn some of it. Go this way. Again, if you were to create this on your own, you would just draw a circle. You could use a compass or trace something, make it a perfect circle, or you could draw a square first and then draw the circle inside the square and erase the lines of the square. Anything that you need to do to make this a really nice circle, and then you just put your vanishing points, like the position of a clock, at 12, at 3, 6, and 9, and then one right in the middle. And that will give us the 5 vanishing points that we're looking for this. All right, so here's my curvilinear grid. And now that we have that, we're ready to go on to the next step. Let me kind of zoom in here and show you. So the next step, again, we're going to be making this drawing here into 5-point perspective. So in order to do that, what we have to do is grab our grid, and I'll leave this image up so we can see it a little bit here. I'll just kind of have that one off to the side so we can kind of see what's happening. But basically what we need to do to get started here is we just have to start with the back wall first, okay? So if you look here, we have a television, and we also have a back wall. Now, this part where I'm putting my hand right here, where I'm pointing to, we're gonna draw that first. So it's gonna be above the center a little bit. Now we're gonna need our rulers because the corners of the objects are gonna be receding back to the center using straight lines. So we're gonna make sure we have our rulers in there. But what I want to do first is just create this part of the back wall where I'm pointing right here. So this first line is gonna be curving, okay? And we're gonna curve that line similar to how we would curve it with the grid line. So right about here, I'm gonna start and just make a curving line like this, okay? Make sure it's curving, it's not straight, all right? Now, you can see here that this line where the wall is, that one actually is gonna be straight, and that's gonna be going back to the center vanishing point. So right about here, I'm gonna draw a line. And if I were to continue that, it would go back to the center, but I just wanna have it like this. So that line is straight. And I also need to put one on the other side. That shows where the wall is. So line it up to your central vanishing point here. And once I have it going back to the central vanishing point, I'm gonna draw this line here like this, okay? So now I have my second line for the wall. And then I'm gonna also need to finish the wall as well. And so it's gonna be going down in this direction here, and it's curving. Now I want you to pay attention here. It's gonna be curving around like this, and it's gonna be curving around like this, and I'm gonna stop it right about here, a little bit below the center. And I'm also gonna take a line going like this, and I'm gonna draw it back to the vanishing point right there. And then I'm gonna do the other side as well, like this. So I'm gonna have, this line is gonna be curving this way. And then I just have to pay attention to where the bottom of the wall would be. Now, draw this lightly because we're gonna be putting, if you see, we're gonna be putting a television and some other furniture right there. So if I draw it too dark, I'm gonna have to erase it when I put the furniture there, and it's gonna be a little hard to see. So just draw it really lightly if you can. And then I'm gonna take my my ruler here, and I want you to notice that it's going from corner here back to the center, and I'm just going to draw a line like this so it establishes the 4 walls. So make sure you have that right there. So it establishes the 4 walls that we have. And after that, next we're going to do something to make it a little bit more like the room. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do here is I'll start off with this piece of furniture and also the television. So the first thing, let's draw a vertical line on the side. Now later I'll erase the back wall. I just want to get this set up here. So we're going to draw 2 vertical lines that are curving. Remember, every vertical line is going to bend from the north to the south vanishing point. So what I'm doing is drawing this little piece of furniture right here. And then we have to draw the top, okay? So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna erase inside this area first. I'm gonna erase it, why? Because that's where the furniture is gonna go. We still can see a little bit of the wall here, but we don't need the whole wall. So I'm just gonna erase this because I know I'm gonna be drawing the furniture right in there. And so what I'm gonna do is curve this one. I'm gonna take this, it's gonna curve a little bit below the horizon line here. And why is it curving? Because we're following the rules of 5-point perspective, okay? And then I'm also gonna make the bottom of this piece of furniture just like this. So it's basically just a little box type of shape, okay? We're drawing this right here and you can see that they're curving. Now what do we have to do with the perspective? We have to take the corners, so right here, I have the corners of that, and I have to go back to my central vanishing point. Now it won't go all the way back to the center because if we see there's gonna be a television and so forth, but just put it a little bit, just go a few, maybe a half an inch or something back to the center there. So it's pointing, okay? And then find a nice place to wrap it around like this and just make it curvy. Okay, so probably like that probably looks good right there. So that's gonna be the basic box there that we have. Now, we'll make it a little bit more interesting here in a minute, but first let me just put where the television will be. So this will be kind of right back here. And then this is curving. You can trace that little line. This part is going to be also curving from the east to the west. And then here, okay, see how easy that is? That's where it says center is where the television will be. Now what I want to do is make this piece of furniture a little bit more interesting. So all we're going to do is we're going to have a few places where the drawers would be. We'll make sure it's curving like this. And we're just going to put just a few little rectangles in there in perspective, and then we'll put one right below it right here. Okay. Just like that. And that one is curving that way. And then let's put another little box right over here. And we're going to draw the top of it. And we're going to make this part 3D. It'll be a little bit more interesting. Like this. And then this way. Now to make it 3D, we've got to take a corner and draw a straight line back to the vanishing point. So line it up like this. And it's going to go back to my vanishing point. And then all I have to do is curve this part and curve this part, and you can see we made that 3-dimensional there. Okay. So that's like a little opening there, and then if you want, we could just put one more little cabinet over here, like this. Now we're going to need a few other things, right? We're going to need a table. It looks like in this picture. We're going to need a table here now. And all we have to do is find a little place, let's do it like this, where the table is going to end, and we're going to go like this to the corner, or to the east vanishing point, like this. And then I'm going to also find where the table would end, right about here. And I'm tracing it back, like this. So let's draw 2 lines. Now the table will have the straight lines going back to the center right here, just like this. Okay, it's going to have straight lines going back to the center. Now I can erase this part of the wall, the overlapping part, because I don't need that. Just like this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this corner where I'm pointing, and I'm going to curve it down just a little bit towards the south vanishing point, right? And I can do the same right there up at the top, and then I can make a little edge. And I'm just going to, like this. See, I'm drawing that part of the table. And then right over here, I'm going to curve this part down. So if it would curve, it would like this. And in this one, I have to continue to curve it around back towards the east vanishing point right here. There we go. So now it looks 3D. What are we missing? We're missing the cup and saucer, and we're also missing the table legs, aren't we? So what we need to do with the table legs is also just right about here or so, just draw them down towards that vanishing point. We'll just do real simple ones, just like this. And if you were to have a perspective line back here, you could see this is, right here is where the other table leg will meet. So if I draw it like that, that would be right where the other table leg meets. So if you put that in a straight line like that, and then way over here on the side, we also need to have the table leg coming down like this, and it would meet in the same place as if you were wrapping it around like that. And so approximately right here is where it would meet. Okay, so that looks pretty good. So now what we're gonna do is put just a simple saucer on top of this table, cup and saucer here, like a coffee cup or something. Now, the perspective is it's 5-point, okay? So what we need to do is first just draw the coffee cup, put a little oval around here, just a little ellipse, and then we're gonna draw just like this, and a little handle there, and then all you have to do is just put another little oval around it to make it look in 5-point perspective. All right, so we have our little coffee cup there with the saucer, and then what we're gonna do is do some other features over here, like the door, for example. Now the door, let's do the side of the door first. So I'm gonna draw it right here. It's gonna be curving from the north to the south, right here. And then the top of the door is gonna be a straight line going back to the center. First, let me do the other side of the door here, curving around. And then I'm gonna line it up to my center vanishing point and draw a straight line. Okay, so it's a mixture of straight lines and curving lines, and then somewhere here just put a simple circle for the doorknob. Make that a little smaller. A little doorknob right here. Okay, now we also need probably a picture frame or two. So let's put one right here, and I'll put the back part here. And then remember, the center vanishing point is where the straight lines go. So we're gonna go like this, back to the center, go here back to the center. And just so we know it's a picture frame, why don't we put a little frame around the edge, and you could put something simple in there. You can draw anything you want inside of there. You could do something funny, or you could do like just, what do people have on the walls, flowers or some picture of flowers, whatever it might be. You can just do something simple in there, and I'll just do a simple one with some flowers or something. That will be someone's picture. Okay, so we got our picture frame here. We have a door, and we got to start looking at the other side now, because we'll keep this really simple. The TV will just be kind of a modern TV here. Why don't we also put something up here on the wall, because we want to have maybe a light or two. We could have an interesting architectural feature. So let me just do this. I'm going to put this curving up here. Sometimes on the top of the wall, maybe have an indentation of some sort. And then we're going to have a straight line from here going back to the center vanishing point, like this. Okay. And then what I'm going to need to do next is go like this and trace that part, and then also go back to the center vanishing point here. Okay. Like that. And like that. How about a light hanging down? That could be interesting. Just a simple one. Let's just do a very simple light. So we'll use the north vanishing point as our guide. So what we'll do is this vanishing point up here will be the light, the cord for the light. And then right about here, what I'm going to do is just put a little, kind of like a little semicircle, little hemisphere shape, I should say. And then we're just going to draw a simple light like this. And then follow the, what we're going to do is draw like a little ellipse, a little oval here. Just like that. And then inside we can see a little bit of a light bulb. All right, very simple. Maybe we'll put, if you want, you could put some decorations on there. If you want, maybe I'll put the little part where the something like that. So some decorations, and that looks good. A simple light there at the top. Now we got to look at the left side here, and we have the sofa and a few other features. So what I'm going to do is take a look here and see what we have so far. It looks like we have some room over here on the side. So to do the simple sofa, I'm going to erase a little bit of this, the wall here, because we're going to be putting the sofa right there. Leave just a little bit of the wall visible. It's nice to have some overlapping there. And then what I want to do first is for the couch, let's get this part of the couch in there. So I'm going to put a little curving line like that. And that's going to be where the little sofa is. And this is curving with the grid lines that we did. And then I'm going to draw a straight line back to the center. That's going to be one of the cushions for the couch there, like this, back to the center. And then just so we can kind of see it and it's going to make sense, let me put the other part here and the other part here, curving from the north to the south. And then the top of it, we're going to go like this back to our vanishing point. Okay. And then I'm going to have this part curving down here and this part curving down here like that. And then this is going to be going back to the central vanishing point like this. And then let me have a little bit of the side of the couch here like this. This will go this way, And we'll just make it look a little bit more couch-like here. Something like that. And then if you want, we can extend it out a little bit, or you could just leave the chair just like that. It's up to you. We could make it either like just a little sofa chair, or you could put additional little parts in there. We'll just leave it like this for right now, just to keep it simple, okay? And if we have time, we can go back in a little bit. Now let's put the window in there. So what I want to do with the window is making sure it goes from the north to the south here. And then I'm just going to put two lines like this going back, okay? Just put a line like this here. And then I'm going to put a line here from the center vanishing point like this. So we'll have the window right there. And then what I can do is have a little part that goes down like this. And then we're going to have kind of make it look a little bit 3D with a little part like this going back to the center vanishing point. Like this. Next, what I want to do is I want to out here is I want to put in like a little tree. So you could, if we look here closely, we see a little tree. So just put a basic tree here, you know, just basically a little trunk, and you could put, you know, a few branches like this. And here's a little trunk, and then just basically just put a few of the leaves. It'll be a really simple tree, just like this. Just a little simple tree here. And then on the horizon line, so right here, I'm gonna make the horizon line. We could color it in here. This could be grass right there in the front. And then let's just put like a very simple mountain range right here. So just something like this with the simple mountains. Okay, just so when you look out the window, you could see something interesting. And then we got to put a shelf, and we'll put maybe some potted plants on the shelf. So let's try that here. So what we could do with the shelf is make it really simple. So to start, let's just figure out where the end of the shelf would be. And let's say the end of the shelf is going to be right about here. So put a little line. And then this one is going to go to the vanishing point in the center. That will be the top of the shelf right there. And then I'm going to have this part of the shelf, the 3D part of the shelf like this. Okay. And then going back to the east and west vanishing point, I'm going to go out like this and then make the bottom part of the shelf here. Now, just so it makes more sense, let's put in that little support that sometimes we can see on the shelf. So this one, it's like I think it's called an L bracket, and then this one would have the little bracket right there that's supporting it. And on the top of the, if we look here, we could see some potted plants. So I'm going to erase the wall line just a little bit here, and I'm going to put in just a few basic plants. Now, since it's above your eye level, you're not going to be able to see the inside of the pot, but what we can see, this is like an agave type of plant, kind of a spiky plant, something like that. We can see the pot, but just not in the inside, because the eye level is actually right here. We'll put one more here, just like that. And then I can go back and put the wall line. I just didn't want it to overlap. So here, and then I have spiky type agave, or you could put a cactus or anything like that, just a little potted plant there. And let's go ahead and just finish this by putting some lines where the room is, going towards the central vanishing point. So all you have to do, we'll make it tile here, and let me put the wall line back in here, and we're gonna make just a tile floor, and then we'll be done. And if you want, we can shade it in a little bit. So all you have to do is measure it. Let's go like every inch. Okay, so put 1 inch, 2 inch, every inch or so, all the way around, just on the bottom of the area there. And then what I'm gonna do is draw lines going back to my vanishing point. Now, if you want, you could do a checkerboard pattern. And so I'm just gonna line it up here. I'm gonna go back to my central vanishing point like this, okay? And then just rotate the ruler here like so, like that. And this one will actually be right in the center. Now the lines going sideways have to follow the curvilinear grid. So these are straight lines, but the other line is not gonna be straight, okay? So let's see, like that, and like that, and this one is like this. Okay, so now all we have to do is make sure that in the front it's a little wider and not quite as wide in the back. So I'll start it off. I think I'll start the first one off right about here. The tile, I should say. So let me just trace the grid line that we already have, just like this. And so with the tile, I'm just gonna trace it like this, going all the way back to here. That's easy. I can just follow the one I already have, right? Just like that. And then just make the next one a tiny bit closer together. So here, I'll put this one here like this. All right, and then I've maybe put one right there. So we're pretty much done. You could add to it if you want. If you want to add some color, you could, like I said, decorate the picture frame a little bit. That could be interesting. You can also, if you want, add shading with your pencils. But let's finish this. You could do a checkerboard pattern right there on the tile. That looks pretty good. I think we're pretty much done there. But like I said, if you wanted to color it in, you could do that. A checkerboard pattern could be interesting as well. Okay, I think we'll call that one done. If we look, it matches the original one pretty good. We went from 1-point perspective all the way to 5-point perspective and kept most of the basic features there. And just remember, follow all of the rules and you'll be fine.